5 Hills 325 net starts in 15 minutes. A5 CRA, repeater. CQ, CQ, CQ. This is K5CRA. Hearing no emergency or priority communication, the Five Hills 325 net is now declared open. This net meets weekdays at 3 p.m. and is sponsored by the K5CRA Cove Repeater Association from Copperas Cove, Texas. Visit k5cra.org or k5cra@groups.io for more information. Several area repeater stations along with Echolink and All-Star Link are networked, so please allow a brief pause between transmissions. All licensed radio amateurs are welcome and invited to participate. This is a directed net. The purpose of this net is to promote radio activity, help one another by elmiring, and promote goodwill and fellowship among radio amateurs by being the friendliest net in Texas. We will now observe a moment of radio silence, remembering those in our community who may be undergoing hardships, and to recognize the many unseen heroes who are there in our times of need. This is a directed net. Stations will be asked to check in using ITU phonetics, slowly, with their name, location, and traffic. After check-ins to the net have come to a close, I will acknowledge those stations heard and ask for any further check-ins or any call I may have missed. You may use NetLogger via the internet to see if you are checked into the net. I will first recognize any first-time check-ins and stations with traffic for the net and then ask for comments from those stations checked into the net. After comments, there will be an opportunity for late check-ins to be recognized. After check-ins and comments, the net will continue to be directed and time will be given for any questions, topics of discussion or elmiring, and rechecks. Stations wishing to join the Five Hills 325 net, please come now.
This is Alpha Delta 5 Sierra Kilo, Bud and Leroy. No traffic. This is Kilo Delta 5 Foxtrot Kilo Yankee, James and Waco. This is Quebec Hotel Whiskey, and Cole, no traffic. This is Kilo Golf 5 Tango Sierra Oscar, Mary, and Copperas Cove, no traffic. This is Kilo India 5 Zulu Tango India in Harker Heights, Chris, no traffic. This is K5CRA with Steve at the mic. Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the net. Roger, KD5UEW, N1MAK, AG5UQ, who is so gallantly taking care of the logging responsibilities this afternoon. K5 Golf Alpha Golf, KG5 Quebec November India, KA5 Quebec Kilowatt Lima, Alpha Delta 5 Sierra Kilo, Kilowatt Delta 5 Foxtrot Kilowatt Yankee, Kilowatt Charlie 9 Quebec Hotel Whiskey, Kilowatt Golf 5 Tango Sierra Oscar, and Kilowatt India 5 Zulu Tango India. If I missed anybody, didn't call your name as being checked in, please check in again. And again, any other stations wishing to join the 5 Hills 325 net, come now, please. Over.
This is November 5, Juliet Zulu Delta, Dave and Kempner.
This is Whiskey Bravo 7 Sierra Kilo Kilo, Mike and Hewitt, short time.
This is Kilo, Baker, Zero, Papa, Mike, Oscar, Jim, and Crawford. No traffic.
Any other stations wishing to check in, come now, please. Over. And excuse me, go ahead.
K5CRA, repeater.
I may have doubled with Kilowatt Bravo 0 Papa Mike Oscar. Got you in the net, James. And any other stations wishing to check in, come now, please. Over. Okay, hearing no other stations at this time, there will be an opportunity after the first round of comments for any other stations wishing to check in. Over the last month or so, the topic of discussion has been Part 97.1, which is the basis and purpose of our ham radio hobby, at least according to our friendly government. There are 5 different parts. Part A is the recognition and enhancement of the value of amateur radio to the public as a voluntary, non-commercial communication service. That's number 1. We're a communication service. Number 2, continuation and extension of the amateur's proven ability to contribute to the advancement of the radio art. Number 3, to encourage and improve the service through rules which provide for advancing skills in both communication and technical phases. Let me pause. Part D, the expansion of the existing reservoir within the amateur service of trained operators, technicians, and electronic experts. And finally, number 5, which we're up on today, is the continuation and extension of the amateur's unique ability to enhance international goodwill, and I'll go ahead and also call it local goodwill. In the old days, when we didn't have VHF so prevalent, a lot of our contacts were not necessarily international, but inter-county, interstate. So particularly now, we're more localized nets and not so much international, although with Echolink and All-Star and other technologies, we can have an international footprint, but more so now we're a local community. That being said, during the comments section, I'd invite any thoughts, comments on our basis and purpose, kind of as a spoiler thing there. That being said, over to KD5 UEW. Mr. Bill, pick it up. This is KD5UAW. I'm always impressed when my little radio waves bounce off the sky and I talk to some place like Brazil or Puerto Rico or even New York City. It always amazes me, and I think, wow, that's really neat. And then I figure out, I don't know how that works anyway. But extending our skill is one thing, and enjoyment and the international relationships is always a good thing. KD5UAW. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you being with us this afternoon, and brings back memories of the Voice of America and Radio Marti, which, although not amateur radio, did utilize our communications media to hopefully foster some goodwill among nations. That said, over to Mr. Jeff, N1MAK. Glad to have you with us. Your thoughts for the net. Over.
Hello everyone, Mike Alpha Kilo, Jeff over here in Lamb Passes, just working today. It's always good to be able to be on the radio and hear everybody out there in radio land. And thanks for doing that, Steve. Back to you.
Again, thank you, Jeff. You with us? Sorry I didn't get to visit at the club meeting last Saturday. We'll mention the Cove Repeater Association had their monthly meeting, and if any of you, for the 100th time, if you missed the meeting and would like to see it on YouTube, look for Cove Repeater Association. And also our net right now is being live streamed, so you can see recordings and all of that there. That said, over to our fearless leader, Commandant, and the man doing the login this afternoon, Mr. Cliff. Howdy, AG5UQ, your turn.
Good evening there, Steve. Thank you for doing the net. It's always on Monday. And I do my best whenever I'm out anywhere and can talk to people or answer questions about ham radio. Try to influence them maybe to consider it, because really getting a license isn't the hard thing. The hard thing is getting your feet wet and getting on the radio and learning what to do. And that's what we as Elmers can do. Don't look at it as sharing something that you don't want somebody else to have. It should be sharing something you love, and everybody else will kick in with you. So back to you, Steve.
I think the ARRL had a frame for a license plate at one time, making friends with amateur radio. So there you go. I think that sums it up pretty well. Okay, Glenn, good to have you with us this afternoon, and your thoughts for the net. K5 Golf, Alpha Golf, your turn.
Yeah, Steve, I hadn't been on the wall, been a little busy, and then I had been down in San Antonio this past weekend doing an event with my brother, and then they stayed over and headed back to Oklahoma this morning. Nice sunny day here. I think it's good to have the radios. You know, they do a lot for the Skywarn call-in and for backup on emergency. You know, and keeping the radio net is a good thing. I sure enjoy it, and I'm glad I've been at the club, and I get to one of the meetings, so I need to free up a Saturday so I can make it down there. But nice sunny day here. I need to throw a little water on the garden. That's about it. Back to you, Ned. K5 Golf Alpha Golf clear.
There we go. Things happen sometimes like that. It can get away in a hurry. That being said, over to Mr. James there in Cove. Kind of watching James on the Facebook window as well. So your turn, Mr. James. KG5QNI. Glad to have you with us. Your turn.
Thank you, Steve. This is KG5QNI, and I got into the hobby mainly through my grandfather. He bought and if you remember this model, and I'm sure you do, it'll come out of your subconscious at some point, the Zenith Transoceanic Radio, which actually had a BFO in it, which made listening to code much more pleasant. You didn't get the whispers, but you actually got a tone. And that I was just blessed. It was the golden age of radio in the middle to late 1950s and up to the mid 1960s in New York, where you had WOR and Gene Shepard and Long John Nebel and the amazing Randy and Dorothy Kilgallen, and oh my gosh, the personalities were fantastic. By the way, Gene Shepard was a ham, and he would tell very interesting tales of ham radio in the Midwest in the late 30s. So that got me started. Well, that's about it for me. Back to you, Steve. This is KG5QNI.
I appreciate it there, Mr. Jim. Glad you could be with us. We are experiencing a minor technical glitch. I guess I could go in the other room and look at the instant replay, but we accidentally erased somebody from the log. So I'm whoever was to follow Jim there got erased. I sincerely apologize for that happening, but it's so easy to do sometimes with all of this computer stuff. So that being said, nothing intentional, but I'm going to go ahead and defer over to KA5QKL. James, knowing that you're stepping on somebody else's place, but we'll fill that in here as we go. So over to you, James. KA5QKL and the 5 Hills Net to take. This is K5CRA, Steve at the mic. Go ahead, James.
Well, good afternoon there, Steve at the mic. This is Jim at the mic too. Hey, appreciate you doing the net. Not really much to report this afternoon. It's beautiful outside, so I've been out in the yard poking around and in the shop messing around. So anyway, like I say, not much to report. Just checking in today, and I guess I'll turn it back to you. We'll be outside and everything's going to be wonderful. Have a great day. KA5QKL, back to net.
It is indeed a beautiful day and nice and warm outside also. I got out for a little bit earlier today. Over to Mr. Bud there in Leroy, AD5SK. Glad to have you with us, and your thoughts for the net this afternoon. Over.
Good afternoon, Steve and the net. This is AD5SK. Well, I remember Voice of America. Couldn't pick up Radio Marty, but Voice of America, Deutsche Welle, BBC, and Radio Australia, with the Waltzing Matilda. And a little report on the activities for Saturday. I was over in Limestone County and we did testing. We had 9 people show up. 4 of them were teenagers, young ones, homeschooled. And had one that had dropped out, had got his check, and came in and said, I want to get my general. He passed the general. He said, goodbye, I'm going home. I'm getting on 10 meters as an acting general. Let the repeater reset. Had 2 techs didn't make it, and the ones trying for extra didn't make it. The 4 teenagers made it, and during the breaks where most teenagers be joking, kidding around, those 4 were going on flashcards. They all made it, and I had a bell saying UV8HP, and I told my daughter to get their names, put them in my cap, we'll draw one out. So one of them went home with a brand new radio to get them started. And I think that's a good way to go. Get these young ones, and their Elmer is he is had them for 7 weeks, and I said, "You gonna bring them back for general?" And KF5 IHL is the assistant emergency coordinator for Limestone County. And I asked him, I said, "David, if you could put all the licensed people you have out spotting storms, how many would you have?" He says 171. Now, that's an Aries group. Back to net control, 85 SK.
K5CRA, repeater.
Thank you, Bud. Sure appreciate you being with us, and congratulations and kudos. Congratulations to the 4 young teenagers who obtained their license, and congratulations to the others as well. And kudos to the volunteer examiner crew. And also want to mention, you got to pat our own selves on the back. Mr. Cliff did testing Saturday morning bright and early, which if you watch the YouTube, you can see his actual putting it together, how the test started out. We streamed the whole meeting there. But anyhow, it's a good move, and gives us hope for growth in our community and ham radio. So thank you again there, Bud. And over to KD5FKY. Mr. James, howdy. Your thoughts for the net?
Well, good afternoon, Steve and the net. This is KD5FKY. Not much going on. A nice, pretty day. A little warmer than usual, but I was glad that I didn't have to go out and mow the yard. I got somebody to come by and do it for me for a reasonable price, and did it. It was a really good job. Weed eat, mow, trim, everything. So I was real happy about that. And now I'm ready for the Easter weekend for a little Easter egg hunt with the grandkids. So not much going on. I was tell Bud, man, you're a good fellow doing all that. I've known Bud for a while, and he's a great guy. So back to net, KD5FKY.
Thank you for being with us, James. We also are doing, as we speak, taking care of lawn duty. Youngest son went out and worked on the electric fence circumference of our garden, and having accomplished that task, we opened the gate, and 25 head of our finest cattle, 26 head, counting the new calf from last week, are partaking of our lawn. So we get the full meal deal, mowing, edging, watering, and fertilize, all in one good go there. So anyhow, appreciate you being with us. And over to Mr. Gino. Sorry I didn't get to visit. I was kind of preoccupied messing with the camera and stuff Saturday, but I did see you and the young one there. So your thoughts for the net. KC9QHW to take in the Five Hills net. This is K5CRA, Steve at the mic.
Yeah, you know, I could use one of those animals, or maybe 2 for my yard, so they can, you know, get her down to a reasonable length. So I won't have to get out there and cut it myself. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I don't know if you're asking if people, the first time people wanted to be a ham operator, but I guess ever since I had a CB, I always wanted to go a little bit further. I had a friend of mine a couple friends of mine in Wisconsin. One of them was a neighbor of my brother-in-law's. He gave me a book by Gordon West on how to get my technician's license. I studied that thing every free moment I could while I was on the road. I must have did pretty good because I only got one wrong when I passed my technician's license. Anyhow, that's about it. I'm more or less sorry about that. I guess I guess I'm talking too much. Back to you, Net Control, KC9 QHW.
Glad you could be with us, Gino. Those little Redivis brand radios, I have one. I've been giving some of them away under the name of Popung, but they were a little 2-watt DMR and FM radio. And one of the bad things about that, and likewise the Anytone 878, the push to talk gets kind of, you don't need a timeout timer, you get a thumb timeout, because it's kind of hard to stay on the trigger with those things sometimes. Anyhow, sure glad you could be with us. And over to Ms. Mary, glad to have you with us, KG5TSO, to take in the Five Hills Net. This is K5CRA, Steve at the mic, over.
Well, good afternoon to you and everyone on the net. You guys were talking about how you got into radio, and I had gotten in because of James, but I think what really pulled me in was I'm a retired teacher. We have a tendency to be community oriented. So I was interested in working with the CERT team, which I joined in Killeen, but it disbanded. So they put together a disaster action response team. So I got involved in that. And Aries became I couldn't seem to get myself into Aries, but I think that's why I wanted to do amateur radio. So I worked with Hurricane Harvey, and I worked with the tornado in Toledo, and so that was because of amateur radio. So and then I told a few people, when I grow up, I want to be net control. Oh boy, am I in net control now. There's no extricating myself at all. So that's where I'm at. Well, I've talked too much. 73s to everyone. Back to you at net control. Kilo Golf 5 Tango 0.
K5CRA repeater. Copperas Cove, Texas. Time out.
I'm sure glad you could be with us this afternoon, Mary. And yeah, the communication service, which is our basis and purpose number one, can lend itself to provide communications in the event of an emergency to augment our people needing to convey information. Again, we're not the emergency; we're the communicators that carry the message, kind of like the carrier pigeons, if you will, modern day, or the Pony Express type of thing, except we're a lot faster. Anyhow, sure glad you could be with us this afternoon. And over to KI5ZTI. Chris, good to have you with us. Your thoughts for the net, over.
Thank you, Net Control. Good afternoon to all the professional amateur radio operators out there. Thanks to all the NWS Skywarn network last night. From Cove to Belton and Temple, they all did a great job and a very professional job. I was standing by as a certified Skywarn person. Nothing happened that I could report in my area here in Parker Heights, but it was getting close, but no cigar. I got started and interested in amateur radio from my Uncle Phil many years ago. Got me interested. And then last month, I listened to a podcast interview of Art Bell, if any of you recognize that name out there. Great guy, great shows. Anyways, and he had his extra license for many years, even when he briefly moved to the Philippines. So if you want to get a little free time and find that podcast on Art Bell from talking about his ham radio interview there, it was really good. Studying for my general still, slowly, and want to get in there and get that. And then I have the bug and have to get some more equipment, talking to my higher headquarters about that first. And this is Chris. I'll be clear and standing by. Back to you, Net.
Thank you for being with us, Chris. I can remember some years ago, I was more active with a group on 160 meters in the morning, real early, 1990 kilohertz. And Art Bell, believe had checked in a few times with us there. K7RF, that was the Henry amplifiers, and we had a pretty good following at one time. So, indeed, I always think about Walter Cronkite. He was a WB2 call, also a ham radio operator, and Barry Goldman, W7. I can't remember his call right now, but when the Mexico City earthquake, health and welfare information. So, anyhow, sure glad you could be with us. And over to Mr. Well, it says Charles, but I think you go by Dave. I may have it messed up there. N5JZD, good to have you with us. Your thoughts for the net, over.
This is N5JZD. I go by Dave. First name is Charles. I answer to anything. Enjoying this beautiful weather. I just really enjoy amateur radio, and I'm surprised, but not surprised, that most people I talk to about amateur radio, it's a complete mystery to them, and it's fun telling them about it. They kind of realize they can do things. But that's all I have. Got back to you, net control.
Thank you bunch for being with us, Dave. It is always a mystery to emanate a signal through free space with no wires, no strings attached. So that's always a fascination. Mike, I know you were going to be short time and probably gone, but if you happen to be by the radio, you can have a shot at it, and if not, we certainly understand. So maybe not. WB7SKK, your turn. And not hearing Mike, and I know he was short time, over to our friend up at Spiegelville, if I remember right, KB0PMO. James, glad to have you with us. Your thoughts for the net, over. And not hearing James, over to KB8PRU. I believe you may be with us via Echolink. Glad to have you with us. Charles, your thoughts for the net, over. Okay, not hearing any other on our routine list of check-ins. I know one station got obliterated from the log, so at this time we'll go ahead and open it up for any other stations wanting to check in, join the net, late check-ins, rechecks, you name it. Come now. This is K5CRA, Steve at the mic, inviting stations that would like to join the net. Come now, please. Over.
This is November 3 X-ray, Uniform Sierra.
This is Kilo
Whiskey 5, Mike Oscar Whiskey.
K5CRA.
This is Whiskey 5, Papa India X-ray Mobile.
This is
Roger, November 3 X-ray Uniform Sierra. Whiskey 5, Mike Oscar Whiskey. Whiskey 5, Papa India X-ray. And I believe there may have been one other station. There was a double, and I didn't get your call. So go ahead, and any other stations wanting to check in, come now, please. Over.
This is Kilo 8 Bravo Papa Zulu Ross Colleen Mobile Handy Talkie. This is
A
Kilo India 5 Victor Juliet November.
Roger, K8BPZ and Kilowatt India 5 Victor. Let's go again. There were a couple of doubles and we kind of messed up. So I got K8BPZ. The other stations, please come again and we'll try it. There were some doubles and it kind of got me messed up. So try again, please. Over.
This is Kilo India 5 Victor Juliet November KI5BJN. This is F5 Alpha India Oscar.
I doubled India Oscar. Come again, please.
Kilo Juliet 5 Alpha India Oscar KJ5 AIO.
Okay, Roger. Michael, good to have you with us, especially. Guys, I was Mike's first on-the-air contact, so kind of an honor to have you with us. Go ahead, any other stations, and then we'll go ahead and pick up some late comments. So, again, any other stations wishing to join, come now.
Whiskey 4 Delta Alpha Delta, Dale Temple.
Nope. Whiskey's for Dad. Whiskey 4 Delta Alpha Delta. Good to have you with us. And with that said, go ahead and turn it over to N3XUS. Gene, good to have you with us. Again, a topic is our basis and purpose as hams, and we had gone over the 5 different parts of the FCC rules. And the last one, which was kind of our focus for today, is to establish goodwill. So that being said, kind of as a direction of travel, your thoughts for the net. N3XUS to take. This is K5CRA, Steve at the mic. Go ahead, Gene, over.
Yes, this is November 3 X-ray Uniform Sierra, Gene and Colleen. Glad to hear everybody on the net today. Sorry for the late check-in. My primary purpose on amateur radio, and has been that way for a number of years, is emergency communications for the local and state community. Federal if I can. Would it be disasters, troubles, or even just helping out in some of these, marathons or 5K walks, whatever the case might be. That's been my main focus. Other than that, I was out in the garage for a while. It's a whopping 93 degrees here in Colleen, and just in the house right now, having a snack and chilling out. Always a pleasure joining the net. This is November 3 X-ray Uniform Sierra, clearing the net.
Glad to have you with us, Gene, and certainly always a pleasure to have you on the net. And over to Mr. Tim, W5 Mike Oscar Whiskey. Your turn.
Good afternoon, Steve and the net. Not much going on here. Just did a lot of outside work today. A lot of moving rocks and putting little things up to keep the birds from building nest up under the patio, and that's all done now, so they can go find a new home. And besides that, not much else going on. I guess for amateur radio, I think you said the goodwill, the question. I guess just be more of a positive influence in radio, and kind of be kind to everybody that's on the radio and understanding. And let a pause here because I don't want the repeater to time out. Alrighty, and just kind of get help everybody out if they want to try something new. Point them in the right direction. Maybe get them going if you can, and try different things because there's a lot of stuff out there. But that's about it. Hope everybody's having a good one, and hopefully we get some rain this week. I think we may have a possibility of some rain moving in, so that'll be good. Oh, and they cut the front yard today, and I cut it low, so there you go. All right, Steve, thanks for doing the net. Back to you in 7-3.
Thank you for being with us, Tim. And yeah, the cows are really enjoying this grass out here. And again, yes, we do need rain as well, but all things in due season. Welcome aboard. Tell us what you're looking at out the window there. W5PIX and the Five Hills Net. Your turn.
Well, I don't know if I'm hitting the repeater or not. I'm over here on Highway 6. Let's see. On the Moody repeater. Let me see if I'm hitting it. I see that I'm hitting it. So, yeah, it's a beautiful day. A little hot, a little humid. And we finally found out what this big antenna is that I acquired over the weekend. And so we're going to put it together. It's only a tri-band, but it's 7-element. And, well, we're going to give it a shot anyways. But I got into amateur radio because of my great uncle, who was W6PIX. I've told that story many times. So standing there watching his amplifier on the wall, make communications back in the AM days. And of course, I was also given helicopter radios, and my cousin, second cousin, who was in Mars, I got antennas and stuff from him. So I've been around it most of my life, but it took me up till I was in my 60s. I finally got my ticket. So anyways, back to you, Steve. Thanks for doing it. And K5TLR, W5PIX.
Thank you for being with us, Cliff. And yeah, you're doing a good job on Highway 6. I imagine we've got two Waco repeaters. Probably the 442-875 would favor you on Highway 6 around Waco. And further south, if you're going toward Marlin and in that area, the 145-15 out of Bruceville would do a great job. Anyhow, sure glad you could be with us, and thanks for sharing. Over to Mr. Ross. I hope you're still with us. I know you were walkie-talkie mobile, but let's see what happens. K8BPZ to take in the Five Hills Net. Your turn.
Good afternoon. It's glad to be on for a while. My student canceled out, so here I am. I got into amateur radio for emergency management purposes, but later on, I really got excited about passing traffic. Just a moment. Yes, passing traffic was, I helped some people in Caracas contact their home bases in San Diego, California from Denton, Texas, and using an old TS-520, shooting out a grand total of 200 watts, I was able to contact some people, and some of which I had to rely on some Morse code at their last end because 80 meters was acting up even back in 1991. And so that got me interested in net traffic, and I did that for about a year before I had to leave to go back to school. So that's about it. I'm kind of excited about that. Back to net, K8BPZ.
That is super. Sure glad you could be with us. Yeah, that is section 1, number A is the enhancement of the value, excuse me, as a non-commercial communication service. So we are communicators. That's what hams do. And sometimes we carry emergency traffic. Sometimes we carry routine messages, as KJ5AIO is going to mention. He received a radiogram just the other day, which is kind of a novelty nowadays. That said, over to KI5DJN. Joseph, welcome aboard. Your thoughts for the net, over.
I am a new ham. Got my general last month. First time on the radio. And I believe you and I know each other, Steve. I used to work for Temple PD. He used to work on our radios.
Wow, we do indeed. Well, super, super glad. Is this your first visit on this net, Joseph, over?
First time on the radio. Had a friend loan me an ICOM 7100 and just got it set up.
Okay, well, I will get a QSL card. This is really fascinating because Saturday morning, Michael, who is next up on the net, also was his first contact. So this is really kind of an honor to be the first contact for two brand new hams. So I'm going to get puffed up pretty big, and I will get you a QSL card, Joseph. Anything else you'd like to share with the net? Usually on a first-time check-in, we always try and make you welcome, and anything you'd like to share with the net, your interest, anything you feel like, it's your turn. So back to you, Joseph, over.
No, I'm still trying to learn all this stuff and studying hard, still working at it. A lot to learn.
K5.
Well, we're honored to have you with us, and we meet every weekday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's an informal, help one another, and we kind of pride ourselves as being the friendliest net in Texas. So there you go. Thank you again, and over to KJ5AIO. And Michael, it was sure good to meet up with you. Your card went out Saturday noon, so depending on the Pony Express, you may be getting it here the next day or so. Again, everybody welcome Michael, and your turn, Mike. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, KJ5AIO here, Mike and Temple. As James was saying, great to finally be on the net. I've had my tech license for about 2 weeks, I think it is now. My days get all mixed up. I'm a full-time student, full-time adult student, so I don't really keep track of the days as I should. Wanted to get into radio for just communications. I've always been interested, just never got into it. Really cool thing that's happened in the last week is that now that my wife Megan and I both have our license and both have radios, because of the storms that were coming through yesterday, we both flipped on our radios and we're listening, and actually we have some new neighbors that I know don't know the area and they don't necessarily know Texas weather. And I contacted them and said, hey, I see you're not home. Where are you at? There's a tornado at Fort Hood. And they were actually right in the path of the tornado and took shelter where they were at. They were actually outside. And I feel like that was very helpful to keeping them safe. That's all I got for right now. I'm going to be at the Bell County meeting tomorrow night. I think it's J5AIO out.
Well, it's really great to have you with us, Michael, and lovely to see the community. You guys are the future of ham radio, so us more senior, it's our duty to do everything we can to help you, bring you into the hobby and encouragement and that sort of thing. So I will mention there's several nets tonight at 8 p.m. The Heart of Texas ARC has their weekly Baker's Dozen weather and Aries net. And I believe the Temple Club also has a net tonight. So there'll be a lot of radio activity this evening. Good to have you with us. And over to the other Temple station, WW5DAD. Dale, you got neighbors. Go ahead and pick it up. Over.
Thanks for having me, Steve, and the net. I definitely wanted to say hi. It's cool to see another maybe a couple dozen people join in today on this net. And you're sure right that this is definitely the friendliest group by far that I've been able to communicate with over the handheld. I'm not saying much considering I've only been doing this 3 months or so, but it really is fun. I suppose I'll pause a sec. As far as the how we got into it here, I was introduced to an old CB base station back in the early 90s, and I just got hooked on it. I really enjoyed being able to listen and chat back as a child. Ever since, I decided to go ahead and make it a legitimate hobby and an education resource. And then also come to find out that it's an emergency communication tool all in one. So with that said, I did hear portions of the Skywarn yesterday also, and sometimes, as Steve was referring to, there's emergency only communication, and then other times, even during the storms, they'll offer opportunity to offer non-emergency informative reporting for the greater good. With that said, I learned yesterday, sort of with a slap on the handheld, to only report emergencies unless they open it for non-emergencies, right? Like that's kind of the way it's supposed to work. And I suppose, live and learn, right? And I did have one question. Does anyone know if VE testers offer a freebie to resubmit the test to exam to the FCC because my dad missed it? To pay the $35, so they dismissed it. Back to net.
Let me defer that to AG5UQ. He is our resident volunteer examining coordinator. Go ahead, Cliff.
I can email them, from my place and ask them that question, but that slip that he should have received, and Gerald would know because he's probably been through it before, is good for 1 year should there be a problem. So it may be simply a resubmittance by Gerald saying that he missed that time limit, that they may go back to the VE up in Connecticut, and I don't know how they would do that, but we could ask the question. I tried with Gerald first since he took the test with Gerald. And I'm sure that he can probably resubmit it and explain the situation to him and see what goes on from there.
Clear copy. Thanks, everybody. 2 whiskeys for Dad. Back to net control.
One more comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Alpha Golf 5 Uniform Quebec. And Dale, you normally get on the Sittard net and Temple, and I think Gerald gets on there some. It may be a question you can ask directly tonight to him, or if you go to the meeting on Tuesday, I don't know if you're a member there in Belton, he would probably be also available there, I think. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Cliff. Anything further, Dale? Over.
No, that was perfect. Nailed it, as always. Thanks for everyone out there coming together to make this possible. 2 whiskey for Dad, back to net control.
Oh, real fine. Appreciate everybody and everybody's comments. At this time, are there any other late check-ins? Anybody would like to join the net? This is K5CRA, Steve, with the Five Hills 325 net. We're hosted by the Copperas Cove K5CRA Cove Repeater Association. And this is an open net, kind of a get acquainted, promote activity, and help one another type of net. So that's it. I'll hush up and see if anyone else would like to join. Come now, please. Over.
KG5 TSO recheck.
This is Kilo India 5, Charlie, November, Wayne.
Roger, KI5CNN and KG5TSO with the recheck. Go ahead, Mary, with the recheck, and then we'll pick you up, Wayne. KG5TSO to take. Your turn. Over.
With our new hams, I just thought I was kind of listening here, and I didn't hear anybody mention that not only do we have our daytime 5 till 3:45 net, don't forget that we have the Tuesday night net tomorrow night, 7 p.m. and 2 meters, and we would love to welcome you. And I think we're a friendly group, so I just thought I'd mention that. Don't forget, and we also have this coming Saturday, the Lampasas Area Amateur Radio Club, LARC, out in Lampasas at Putters and Gutters. It's kind of a family fun center, and we meet there around 9:30. So, we all talk ham radio, and we'd love to have you join us. So, yeah, and they have great food, yes. Okay, that's what I have. Back to you at Net Control, KG5 TSO.
Thank you, Mary, and appreciate you bringing that information to the net. Sometimes I don't update things. I do try and keep on NU5D.org. Have a page for the Code Repeater Association and try and keep a posting of the nets there, but I need to, and area club meetings, but I need to update that with the Lampasas information. Again, thank you for bringing that to the net, and over to you, Wayne, KI5CNN. Glad to have you with us. Your thoughts for the net. Over.
Good evening there, Steve, and the net. Sure good to hear all the other new hams in there. The guys that are getting their feet wet in this mess. I've been in it quite a while. It just took me a long time to get my call. Anyhow, just wanted to jump in there and say good evening, and I've been doing uniform, so anyway, we've been busy. Catch you later. KI5 CNN.
Thank you, Wayne. Sure glad you could be with us, and it's been a wonderful net. I've been really pleased to be here this evening and see if there's any other stations, rechecks, comments, late check-ins before we go ahead and tie the ribbons. Come now. Over.
Yeah, this is KI5ZTI, Chris in Parker Heights. Over. Whiskey recheck.
I'm getting my tongue twisted. My apologies. Go ahead, Chris. Over.
Yeah, thank you, Ned. I was listening to Dale. He was actually my first contact when I got my my license, and that was pretty cool. But one thing that Dale, if you can, I don't know if they're still doing online testing for Skywarn, but that was a good class to get certified as a Skywarn spotter. Just so I thought I'd throw that out. And also, I'm noticing that these farmer markets are starting to pop up for the season. And what a great opportunity to be out there at these different locations that are not long during the day, maybe about 4 or 5 hours, and set up a small station and get some people interested in ham in the area. Especially these young people might find it very interesting to give them the opportunity. That's just a remark I've got. This is KI5ZTI, clear.
Thank you, Chris. That is a good idea. myself, I'm not so much on the farmers markets. We're actually trying to set up, Cliff, in Heights, and some of the other, groups are trying to set up, I know in Harker Heights at the library, but that's good information. Also, while I have the trigger down, I will mention that WX5FWD, the National Weather Service liaison in Fort Worth, has a permanent connection to this network. They keep it turned down and on monitor, but they're always available to listen and keep an eye on things. So we have a direct link into the Fort Worth National Weather Service over this net. That said, any rechecks, late check-ins, anything else before I close the net? Over.
K5CRA, repeater. Thanks to all of you for participating in the Five Hills 325 net. It has been an honor to serve you. This is K5CRA. I now declare this net closed, 7-3.